everyone, it's Nicola, and I'm back here to talk more about life lessons because I got a great response from last week and lots of interesting comments in my email inbox. So I just wanted to go into it in a bit more detail because I think although the newsletter covered it in more detail, the video was quite fleeting, mainly because I was just getting my head around the new format. So today I've just made a mind map of the kind of things that I've been thinking about over the last week with regards to life lessons and how they can help you in business particularly, and how they can help you grow as an entrepreneur and become a better entrepreneur, as the name of my next book is going to be. I wanted to just sort of run through a few external life lessons before we get to the business ones, just to sort of get you warmed up, as it were, and also to get me warmed up a bit. And so I was thinking about what kind of life lessons we learn from our families. Now, if you following along from last week, I was exploring the idea of reincarnation, and there's someone called Cliff High who's got quite a lot to say on this subject. And I was a confirmed atheist for my whole life, and then I gradually came round in the last 3 years to the idea that there is actually good and evil in the world. And if there is good and evil in the world, then there must be some sort of purpose or some sort of plan. And I don't know who makes the plan, and I'm open to everything. I'm open to everything right now. If you accept the fact that we all come back time and time again and we learn lessons in each life. So yes, if you accept that we go through different lives, being reincarnated, and each time we do, we learn some lessons in that life, and then those lessons, the lessons get condensed into a sort of layer of, well, Cliff calls it an iridescent, sparkly, shiny cover on our soul. So each life lesson turns into another cover and another cover and another cover, and I love that idea because it sort of brings up the idea of something beautiful and precious and shiny and pearly and iridescent and ever-changing and growing. And I like all of those ideas, as I think you have to do that to become an entrepreneur. And in fact, unless you're born into it or you have a great mentor straight off, then you have to learn those business lessons for yourself, entrepreneur lessons for yourself. So if we think that we choose our parents and we choose to go down into that family and they choose us, there must be a reason for it. There must be a lesson for it. So I wonder what the lesson is for me in the family I grew up in. And I'm not going to go into that too much because I do go into it in my book and also talk about it on other videos. But if you think about your family as your first tribe, then perhaps that's what a family is for, is to teach you that there are people around you, hopefully you've got your back, and who act as your tribe. But then eventually you outgrow that tribe and you have to go and look for another one, which brings me on to your friends. I've lost several friends over my life, and sometimes I haven't known why, and sometimes I've known exactly why. It's been something I've done or said, or sometimes you just don't realise what happens. But I do think you have friends for a reason and friends for a season. So sometimes the best friends of all, I've got a friend who I've been friends with since I was 15 years old. And because we didn't have the same views over what was going on during the pandemic, as it was called, we don't speak to each other now, which is, something I feel personally very sad about. And I've got another friend that I lost a while ago, and I never really understood what happened with that. So you can carry on feeling sad about these things, or you can look for the lesson. And I think that's what I'm trying to get to with this video, is how if you can look on everything in life as teaching you a lesson, everything becomes a lot more bearable. So if I was going to think about what lesson my latest friendship loss is all about, it's about me standing up for my principles, and it's about the fact that I believe my friend went along to get along. I just feel very disappointed in her for that, and I don't know what would happen if she popped up and said, let's be friends again. I just don't know, because I've got to stand by my principles, because at the end of the day, they're all you've got, really, aren't they? So coming back to the fact that your friends are for a season, perhaps friends come into your life for a reason, to teach you a lesson, and perhaps that's what's happened with my friends. And then they move on again. But I've accumulated some amazing friends, mainly through business relationships. And that's really interesting because they've turned into friendships, lifelong friendships, I hope. And in fact, it's one of my friends who talks to me a lot about the whole reincarnation and soul growing and lessons we're learning from things. And it's nice to have a business relationship with someone who is not my partner, who's not my family, who's not my friend, or who wasn't my friend until he became so. And we can have really nice objective discussions about things without there being any family dynamics going on or any partnership dynamics going on. And I really, really appreciate that. But who'd have thought that you'd become friends with colleagues? Who'd have thought that you could become friends with business colleagues to the level that you can? It's just astonishing, because random meetings, you just meet these people randomly. I find that quite amazing, really. And then there are partner lessons. There are the people you choose to love, or the people you fall in love with. Depends on whether you think that, whether you've got a list and you go out looking for the person to fulfill your list, as I've heard some of my friends talk about, or whether you just wait and let it happen to you, and some sort of weird chemical reaction comes over you. That's how it happens with me anyway. And I can remember the time exactly when I fell in love with each of my long-term partners, which is quite funny. So yes, they're there to teach you a lesson too, and we won't go into the lessons I've learned from my life partners, but the one thing I have learned from all of them actually is that I do believe there is a specific kind of male and female energy. And I think that I've got a very male energy, but I look for a male who's more alpha than I am, because in a relationship, I don't want to be the alpha partner. I want to be a more feminine energy, which is really very interesting. And I never thought I'd hear myself say these things, being a lifelong dyed-in-the-wool feminist as I was for years. But again, the last 3 years has changed a lot of people about a lot of things. So that's one of the things I've learned about relationships, is the male, female, alpha, whatever dynamic has got to be right, or the relationship just simply won't work. I've learned a few global lessons in the last 3 years as well, one of which is governments lie. They have not got our best interests at heart. And the other thing I've learned from several of my business associates is when I get all upset about what's going on in the world and I talk to them about it, they tell me things like, you can't save everybody. And by feeling bad about the stuff you can't do anything about, you're just disempowering yourself and taking away all your energy from making things better that you do have control over. So I've learned a little bit how to compartmentalize that. And a lot of the times, the things I get upset about that I see online are things that turn out to be absolute fabrications. They're propaganda, they're lies. And so I have learned to restrict the amount of energy I give to something until I find out whether it's actually true what I'm reading about. I won't give you any examples, but I'm sure you can all think of some, especially in the last 3 years. Everybody gets all uptight about it, and then we find out it's a complete fabrication and nobody's got any confirmation of it. It's a deliberate attempt to stir people up and make negative emotions swirl around the globe, and they're not having any more of mine, that's for sure. And the final thing I've learned, well, there's so many global lessons, isn't there? But one of the things I wanted to just touch on is that something I'll be doing differently as one of the lessons I've learned is that I'm going to absolutely hang on as long as I can before I replace that and this, because lithium batteries are just becoming more and more of a boogeyman, not least because there are millions of children in various places who are digging out the lithium by hand and living horrible lives. So much as I love my laptop and my phone, I'm not going to be looking to upgrade it as quickly as I would have done otherwise and revel in the enjoyment of a new gadget, because I know now what goes into it. Anyway, that's all the sort of warm-up stuff covered. So let's talk about some business lessons. I mean, I've learned so many business lessons over the years. But one of the things I wanted to just touch on today is that the difference between a freelancer and a business is the most profound difference of all. And I think so many people don't understand that yet. And it took me an awful long time to get it. I thought being a successful business meant being a successful freelancer, and actually it doesn't at all. And the other thing I've learned is that you've got to think about profit first and take profits out of your business. There's a book called Profit First from Michael Michalowicz, I think it is Michael Michalowicz, and it's a great book, and it really does teach you that you should always be taking some of the profits out of your business while the business is profitable, so that you are in personally a better position should the business stop being profitable for any reason and you have to move on or close it down, or you indeed get kicked out by your new board of directors just after you've sold it perhaps. So yeah, that's one of the things I've learned, is to make your business look after you first before it looks after everybody else. And it's funny it took me so long to learn that, because that's one of the things I teach in my book, The Money Gym, is you've got to put yourself first, i.e. save to invest later, rather than putting everybody else like Sainsbury's and the local garage and the local restaurant, and putting all those people first rather than putting you first by saving to invest. One of the other things I've learned is I really enjoy joint ventures. I love finding people who you can work with, who benefits as well as you do, and working out some sort of two-way or three-way deal. If you want to learn more about that, I covered it in one of my recent videos. I can't remember off the top of my head, and I never can, the author of this book, but it's called something along the lines of how to get everything you want from everything you've already got. And I did cover it in one of my top 7 business books. That's right, just a few videos ago. If you go and look for it, it's literally about 3 or 4 videos ago. You'll find the top 7 business books that I think no business owner should live without. The other business lesson I've learned is find a hungry market. It's no good trying to have to educate people that they want you. And the reason I've been thinking about this quite a lot recently is because I've got several clients who are working so far out on the edges of groundbreaking activities that they somewhat have to educate their clients that they need them and want them. And that makes life a little bit more difficult. I mean, if you've got a passion, which is great to work on, then I suppose you're always going to find that, because you're always going to be a few steps ahead of everybody else, aren't you? But great idea to find a hungry market if you're not so bothered about what business you go into and you just want to build a business. Then I would definitely be looking for a hungry market. And the second most important lesson I've learned about that is find a hungry market who can afford to pay for your solution to their problem, because it's no good finding a hungry market who can't afford to pay for a solution. And I've done that so many times over the years, it's unreal. One of the life lessons I've learned, and that spills over into the business thing, is how to value yourself. I've had to learn how to do that because difficult upbringings and all that, not taught my own value very young at all. So I've had to learn that lesson and then get over it. And it really does help in business to value yourself, value your business, value what you're offering. And so that, you know, people can't trample all over you, and you can stand firm and stand for what you believe in and stand up for your product or service and expect people to pay a decent amount for it. And of course, people without any sense of value and without any sense of worth, they find it very difficult to price themselves to make a profit. And then they find it very difficult to take the profit out of their business to look after their own lifestyle. And basically, if your business can't do that for you, then it isn't a business at all. So do think about that one very deeply after you finish watching this video, obviously. It's something I've had to learn, and it's been a difficult, long lesson learned, but very worth it. I just want to end on this section on a positive note. I think one of the most uplifting things about thinking about all this is realizing how far you've come, because we're all prone to be looking forward and thinking ahead, and looking up from the top of we never look back from the top of the mountain, do we? We never even look back from one of the foothills about how far we've come. We're always looking upwards and onwards, and the next thing, the next goal, the next achievement. And I think it's really important sometimes just to take stock. So if you sat down now and wrote down the lessons you've learned in each of those areas from this life, then I think that would give you a really good feeling and a bit of a warm, fuzzy glow inside. It certainly did me. Okay, so what are the 3 hot resources I've got for you this week, usually in video format? I've been neck deep in Ed Dale recently. I stumbled across him again. He was someone who literally got me started on my internet journey, because I came across him and Frank Kern talking to Rich Sheffrin about the underachievers method. And I really enjoyed that podcast. That was back in, must have been about 2003, 2004. And Ed has retired, and he's come back out of retirement, and he pioneered something called the 30-day challenge. He had the first 30-day challenge on the internet, and it really was excellent, and so many people went on to do very well afterwards. So he's back, and I gave him the time of day to watch his latest video, and I've been binge watching his latest stuff ever since. And if you go to YouTube and put in Discover Kanban, and then it's for entrepreneurs, so Discover Kanban for Entrepreneurs by Ed Dale. There's a set of nice 5 or 6 videos, short videos on how to organize your time and how to make sure you don't miss things. And he's specifically talking about for entrepreneurs with ADD or ADHD, as it's now called. And he has had a diagnosis himself recently, and he's found it very useful to know that. I mean, I knew that since I heard the phrase that I had ADD and ADHD, but I don't see it as a problem. I see it as a blessing and a superpower, because it also enables me to deep dive learn, which there's a special name for it and I can't remember what it is, but it's something that is very much a superpower, and it's very much means that I can concentrate when I'm interested. That's the thing. On the marketing front, I've had an extremely exciting week because I've been mucking about with ChatGPT, and so has Ed. And so when I got to Ed's Substack and videos about ChatGPT and the fact that he's created his own app on ChatGPT, it's absolutely astonishing what you can do. Basically, you can create your own app for a very reasonable amount of money. It's $20 a month for ChatGPT Plus, which you need to create your app. And you go and create your app, and you can feed into it things like, I gave it my book, and literally it had gobbled up and absorbed the content of my book in minutes. It was unbelievable. And then it starts acting, your app starts acting as if it was you, and you can give it parameters, you can give it a style that you want it to speak in. You can basically turn it into a mini you, and it then can advise people based on how you would do it, what questions you would ask a new client, for example. And also it can use your book to advise people about what they could possibly do and gives them suggestions. So go to nicolacairncross.com/marketing mentor, and I'll put the link in this video description underneath. So if you're in the newsletter, there'll be a link just here, and if you're watching on YouTube, there'll be a link in the description below to go and try it out. Completely free to use it. You only need to sign up for a free ChatGPT account, which you can do just using your Google account or your Facebook account or whatever, and just get playing with it, have fun, and let me know. And you can just email me at Nicola@Clicks and Leads at any time, and just let me know how you get on with it. I've spent several days this week honing it and honing its reactions and telling it what to do, and so hopefully you'll get a really good feeling from it of how it would be to work with me using the Attract 3.0 book and the Be Everywhere Online program. Bit of fun, and I really enjoyed it. When it comes to the money, the video I recommend, in fact there's 3 short videos on Odyssey that I recommend to you today. It's called Who Runs the World, Part 1, 2 and 3, and it's Tom Luongo and Crypto Rich talking about who really runs the world and what it really means. And the 3rd video in the series has got lots of June references. So if you like June, as I do, it's got lots of June references, and it makes it quite fun to think about who's playing the parts of the House Atreides, who's playing the parts of House Harkonnen, who's the Bene Gesserit in this world, and who are the Guild Navigators. So go and have a look at that. It'll give you a good feel for who's playing which parts, and I hope you enjoy them. Finally, this week we've got what's worked, what didn't, and what am I going to do differently as a result. So what's worked has this new video format is working. I only feel like I have to produce 1 good video a week, and hopefully you'll think this is it. And then I can then spin off all my content from there. And the other thing that worked this week was working through finding Ed Dale again, which is great. He's a really cool character. And also working out how to use ChatGPT to create my own app. That's a real high for me. I love new technology, absolutely love it. And what didn't work was all of this creation and new creation has meant I haven't done some of the things as routine that I would have liked to have done. So what's changing as a result of that is that I'm going to be focusing the next week on getting some sort of system nailed down for how to disseminate the new information from my weekly video that follows this magazine format. Because I've changed the format of how I'm creating content, I now need to change the system a little bit of where it goes and what it looks like when it goes there. So that's what will be changing this week. And I hope you have a think about your life lessons. And I'd love to see anything you're willing to share in the comments below here, or just hit reply if you're reading the newsletter. And all of the emails come direct to me, they don't go to anyone else. So I'd love to hear about your life lessons, and specifically your business lessons that you've either learned or you'd like to learn in the near future. Speak soon. Bye.